When training goes bad, this week on Mail Call Mondays. Mail Call Mondays is sponsored by Modular Driven Technologies. If you need a chassis system for your precision rifle, check out mdttac.com. I'm John McQuay with 8541 Tactical, and this is Mail Call Mondays, the show that answers your questions about precision rifles, optics, and equipment. Welcome to another Mail Call Mondays, and this Monday I want to talk about a topic I haven't talked about in a little while, and that is about seeking training and vetting instructors before you take classes. Now, in the precision rifle world, we tend to be a little bit more technically oriented. The subject matter requires a little bit more depth of knowledge versus just being able to go out on a range and operate a firearm. So in the precision rifle world, you don't have as many, I don't want to call them fake instructors, but instructors who have inflated their resume to the point that their training becomes unsafe. That is not necessarily the case in the handgun and carbine world, and we have a lot of instructors that really do not have the credentials or have the background or experience to be able to conduct safe and meaningful training out there, and they pop up because of the money that is available and because of the, I don't want to say ignorance, but the lack of information of the entry-level students that are seeking instruction like this. They get away with a lot of stuff and they go on for a while, and then somebody gets hurt, or the possibility of somebody getting hurt pops up, and then videos go viral on the internet and we finally identify these people. A video over the last week or so popped up. I just became aware of it last week. I saw it on Rob Pincus's feed. Rob Pincus from the Personal Defense Network does a lot of firearms training, and although I don't really agree with everything that Rob Pincus puts out there, he is pretty level-headed on some of the things that he does put out, and that's where I first observed this video. And the video is basically of a bunch of students on a live fire range. They are presumably firing live ammunition, and they are doing a walking drill back and forth. Now, I've seen this drill done quite a few times through various different classes, where students start at one side of the range, they walk to the other side of the range, and they are firing downrange as they're walking across. There are arguments on the pros and cons of the benefits of this kind of drill. I'm not going to get into that here, but it can be conducted safely. The catch is, when that drill is done safely, students walk from one side of the range to the other side of the range, firing downrange with their muzzles oriented downrange. Now, when they reach the end and they are to come back and start the line again, we usually teach them to depress their muzzles. The muzzle is down at the ground in a safe direction, move to the line, and then begin again firing downrange. Well, this instructor in this drill decided to have the students on the trip back firing between the students going the opposite direction. And we'll go ahead and roll the video so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, the video you just saw, the training was put on by a company called Rockwell Tactical Group. And after this blew up and went viral, they did post a statement on their Facebook page, and I will read the statement for you. It is never a good idea to rush into anything. A video came to our attention earlier in the week that appears to have been recorded at an RTG class. We wanted to take the time and review it and ask questions and find out what was happening during the recording of the video. Was there a problem with the class and drill? Yes, the class was a specialized class that was run under the RTG banner, but whose curriculum was the sole creation of the instructor running the class. No other RTG personnel were present. It was outside the normal standards of RTG's core classes. It was our fault for not completely reviewing the points of instruction before the class was held. We have taken steps to make sure that this never happens again. The instructor has been suspended, and a complete review of his and all other class POI that are outside our core classes is being conducted. Now, it's obvious the possibility for catastrophe in this drill. There are some arguments before the video was retracted and the statement was posted that this is an advanced drill for advanced shooters. And I'm here to tell you that I would not run a drill like this with SWAT operators, with Tier 1 operators, nothing. The possibility for injury versus the information gained shooting a drill like this is not worth the risk. There are risks that we take in training to be able to accomplish the training task. I am a live fire shoot house instructor. I've gone through training, been certified on how to conduct safe shoot house drills. And when you are running a shoot house, there are times when shooters are forward of a line of fire because it is a 3D environment. There really isn't a uprange, downrange, etc. in a ballistic live fire shoot house. So there are situations where there are risks that you take in order to accomplish the training, but there are safeties that you put in place to limit the amount of danger, and you do have people that are in there that are able to stop the training when they see something going sideways. There was nothing to be gained from this drill. It is pretty obvious by the gun handling that you see that these were not advanced students. These were not Tier 1 operators that were running this, that were actually doing the drill. And the possibility for somebody to goof up, somebody to slip, somebody to have a negligent discharge and put a bullet through another student is very, very high. So this is a drill that never should have taken place, first of all. It never should have made it past the instructor's bad idea ferry. It should have been canned right out of the gate. Secondly, any range safety officer on that range should have said, nope, timeout. We're done. We're not doing this drill. And lastly, the final check, the biggest check of all, the students involved in this drill should have had the cojones to say, hey, dude, that's unsafe. You're here to train me safely. That is unsafe. I am not taking part in this drill. And either sit the drill out or pack your stuff up and leave and end the training for the day. I know it sucks to pay, $200, $300, $500 for a class. I have no idea how much this class actually costs these people. But any of that is a whole lot cheaper than patching up a gunshot wound, and it is definitely cheaper than catching a bullet in the back of the head and having to pay for a funeral, rather your family having to pay for the funeral. Obviously, if you catch a bullet in the back of the head, your problems have probably come to an abrupt end at that point. So this kind of stuff really upsets me because there should have been numerous safety checks in place that stop this. So what I'm really making this video for is you as the student, and I'm a student too. I am a lifelong learner. I continue to take classes at the student level, not just the instructor level, to continue to improve my knowledge, continue to improve my experience base. But really, when you look at this stuff, first of all, you need to research the organization that's putting on the class. Look online. Don't just look at the good reviews. Make sure you pay equal attention to the bad reviews. Check out the individual student. Don't just go train with somebody because they've got a really cool looking Instagram feed. Make sure that they have some certifications from some professional body out there. Now, I know I'm NRA certified. NRA certification, especially on the civilian side, is not the end-all be-all. You can still have some nutcase instructors out there that have NRA certifications. NRA law enforcement certifications are a little bit more difficult to get, but still, it's a rather low bar for entry. But those at least demonstrate that that instructor has been told the safe way to conduct certain training. Now, if you go sideways from there, that's really not a stopgap. But once you've actually looked through this, you can't find any bad reviews, you think you found some good training, make sure you go into that with a skeptical mind. Make sure you go into it ready to learn, ready to accept new things, but always be ready to throw the BS flag if you see something that's unsafe. Even looking at how this drill was set up, when it was explained, there should have been somebody coming up and going, nope, that's a no-go. So be ready to throw that flag and say, look, this is unsafe. I'm not going to participate in this. Even if you're the only one in the class standing up and saying, hey, it's a no-go, don't allow yourself to be shamed into doing something that is unsafe. Hopefully, if you speak up and you say, hey, look, this is unsafe, there are going to be other people that are empowered by that to say, hey, yeah, I don't feel comfortable with this either. Let's either do something else, let's skip this drill, or, we're all going to sit it out and you can go ahead and run it yourself. So really, that's all I want to get out of this. I want you guys to be hypercritical when you are vetting instructors before you go take a class. Feel free to ask that instructor what qualifies him to teach these classes. And hopefully there are other people out there that have taken that specific class or that specific format and that can come back and tell you about it. Now, the second part of this, I really want to talk to training companies out there that have instructors, adjunct instructors coming out and running their stuff for them. Make sure they're not kind of going on their own way. Make sure they're sticking to the program. If you have instructors working for you, make sure you're vetting their lesson plan. Make sure that you are looking at their courses of fire and make sure you're evaluating it for safety. And if it's a new instructor, you better have somebody out there that is looking at how they conduct that training, because if somebody gets shot in the head, it's coming back on you. It's going to be your insurance that's picking up the tab. It's going to be you that's getting sued. And it doesn't matter if you're a small company and you can just go bankrupt, close up, and go out under a different name. You're still going to have that on your conscience. So make sure if you have instructors working for you that they're qualified, that they're not just blowing smoke about their war stories, and make sure that they are sticking to the plan. It shouldn't be the good idea fairy visiting you in the middle of a class and saying, hey, this could be a really cool drill to run. No, that drill should have been on paper. It should have been part of the lesson plan. It should have been vetted and it should have been practiced. That way you know it can be run safely and that you're not going to have somebody slip and, again, put a bullet through another shooter. If you can't tell, this stuff kind of gets me a little riled up. So that's the end of that. I'm kind of done preaching. I wanted to get this out to you. Also, this is a little bit short because I spent a little bit too much time on the range this morning. On the brighter side of things, I just got this guy in. We're going to talk about 22 trainers, the pros and the cons of 22 trainers a little bit later. But this thing has been a ton of fun. I realized lately that my carbine training had been laxing, and the reason it's getting behind is not because I don't have time to go out and shoot the carbine, but because it can be really expensive when you're going out burning 200, 300 rounds a pop, and then having to replace that training ammo. This is a Smith & Wesson M&P 1522, so 22 long rifle. I picked up an 1100 round tub of 22 ammo for $50 the other day. That will get me through a couple of weeks of training. And this rifle, although it is quite a bit lighter, it is set up very similar to my training rifles and to my duty rifle. Now, it's a lot lighter than my duty rifle, so I'm going to have to see about adding a little bit of weight to it. But it has the vertical grip in the same place that I like it on my training and on my duty rifle. I put a Magpul K2 grip on here, so the grip angle is a lot closer to what I'm used to on my training and duty rifles. It came with a regular A2 grip, but the K2 is a very cheap and quick alternative. Gets you a little bit more of a vertical grip and a little bit longer spacing between the back of my hand and my trigger finger. The trigger on this thing comes in about 4.5 pounds. It's kind of a clean break, a little bit heavy compared to some of my other rifles. So it looks like they put the money where the money should have gone, and then they saved in other places. The whole rifle was $370. It was on sale at Academy, and Academy's not sponsoring this. I just went and picked this guy up with my own funds to try to save a little bit money. Now, when we go through and talk about 22 trainers in the next video, I'm going to talk about how you can tell if you're really saving money or if you're just fooling yourself, because there are some traps that we can run into with 22 trainers. If you end up building up a 22 trainer to be twice as expensive as your centerfire rifle, you may not be doing yourself any favors there. I know I do have an aim point on here, but this aim point was already on the shelf. It does seem kind of funny to have an aim point on a $370 rifle, but you can definitely find some other alternatives that are much, much cheaper. And again, we'll talk about that in the 22 trainer video. But the reason I wanted to talk about this in this video is I really wanted to get your opinion in the comments section below. Do you use a 22 trainer? And have you found that it saves you money in the long run? As I said, I've got my own opinions on this that we will talk about either next week, or we may do a dedicated 22 trainer video. I haven't quite decided yet. The other thing that took me a little bit longer out at the range is we were doing some more work with the Ultimatum Deadline, and we are fast approaching the final video on the Ultimatum Deadline. I can't say final video, but the breakdown where we talk about each one of the individual components. If you haven't seen the Ultimatum Deadline build video, then make sure you check that out, and we will leave it in the links down below and probably throw up one of the little comment links above. But we will go down and break down every single part and how it's been working so far. I've got quite a few matches under my belt with the Ultimatum Deadline. We've had to do a couple of tweaks to it to optimize it, and now I think I've gotten it to the point where I really, really enjoy shooting that rifle. And finally, we did throw up some stuff on social media. You guys have requested it, so I recently went out and picked up one of the new Magpul bipods, threw it on a rifle, and beat it up a little bit at the range. And I've got enough now to come back and be able to tell you guys what my opinion is of it. That's one of the reasons our range day this morning took so long, is shooting all the little bit of B-roll video and playing with that bipod. But I really like it for the $100 price point. We're going to compare it to the Atlas bipod and also to the Harris, because it really comes in at that Harris price point, but has some of the advantages of the Atlas bipods. So we will talk about that very, very soon. Well, that's it for this Mail Call Mondays. If you guys have liked the video, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you want to be notified when we produce new content, make sure you click that little bell icon down below. If you have any questions over anything we've covered, please leave a comment in the comment sections down below or send it to us on Facebook or Twitter. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast app, you can send questions to us at 85401tactical@gmail.com. And if you want to learn how to support content that you know and love, then please click the link down below and check out our Patreon page. Until next time, get out and shoot.